You're listening to The Pivot Point, where we unpack the defining moments that shift careers and lives. I'm your host, Laura Dionisio, founder of Lead Intact, and my mission is to spotlight the raw, real stories behind career pivots. The fears, the hopes, the messy middles, and the bold decisions that follow. If you're feeling stuck or quietly wondering what's next, I hope these stories help you see yourself a little more clearly and inspire you to start moving toward your own dream life. Let's begin. Welcome, Kayla, to the Pivot Point podcast. I am so excited to have you here. So, how I know Kayla is through Elise Archer, She Sells community as part of the 10K club. And Kayla's just a rock star. She keeps everything flowing. And not only that, but because of this one conversation we had, now I am really inspired and motivated to complete my 8K steps daily.
It's really the best goal. I love it.
Yeah. Now that it's warm, every time I think, should I stay in my apartment? I'm like, Kayla is walking around her house right now. You got to do
walking laps around my kitchen. Just think about me all the time.
Yeah. So I want to start out by reading your bio. Can you hear the sirens?
A little bit, but it's okay.
I mean, are you really in New York if there are no sirens in the background? No. There it is.
Fine.
Just going to let it
Very
pass.
authentic. I love it.
Okay. It's called the Brooklyn soundtrack. And
yes. I see. I can see that.
Okay. Kayla Hoffmeier is a former Division I athletic trainer turned full-time executive assistant and network marketing professional. No wonder you're so freaking fit, honestly. I was like, why are her legs amazing? And how can I have them? She's a wife, mom of 2, and a passionate advocate for building a life that prioritizes flexibility, fulfillment, and purpose. After stepping away from college athletics, Kayla leaned into her desire for more freedom and time with her family. That shift led her to network marketing and eventually opened the door to a thriving career as a virtual executive badass assistant. I added that part. 2 roles that allow her to support others while being fully present at home. Whether she's managing projects behind the scenes, sharing about wellness and mindset on Instagram, or balancing mom life with entrepreneurship, Kayla is living proof that you can create a life and career on your own terms.
I love it. I just love hearing even that, after everything, going through everything to get here, even just hearing it about myself, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And truly, you're not just saying that to the part about you're living proof you can create a life and career on your own terms. You're not just saying that for the likes, because before we even started recording, I like to set an intention for every meeting. And yeah, go ahead and share with the audience, what was your intention?
If something is on your heart that you need to do differently for your life, it's there for a reason. And one thing that I learned is not to sit and just overthink it forever. Just go for it, because it can truly change the course of your entire life when you just say yes. Truly.
So good. So good. And that's honestly why I started this podcast, is because through my own life, I've had a lot of career pivots. Some of them, actually, most of them weren't just career pivots. They were straight up life pivots. And so that's why when I started following you on Instagram and started noticing your amazingness, being an EA for Elise, I was like, ooh, she's got a story and I think we all need to hear it. So you just mentioned earlier, when you did it for yourself, you said yes to what you really wanted. So walk us through what that was like. What was happening before you said yes to yourself? Paint a picture for us.
Well, I have had a lot of different pivots in my life. Honestly, going back to the very beginning of kind of where this all started is I was in a career that I had worked so hard for, years of school, undergrad degree, master's degree, went and got the dream job that I had pictured for years. And when I finally got in it, I'm like, this cannot be everything. This cannot be it. Is this what I'm really going to have to do forever? Why did I think I wanted this? And everything starts when you start feeling like that and you're like in this position of like, is this truly like the feeling that I'm going to have every single day for the rest of my life until I don't have to do this anymore? And when that
Mhm.
starts to creep up in any way, shape, or form, and you just like can't see yourself building a life around what you're currently doing, the pivot is already starting to happen. And like those
Ooh.
building blocks are already creeping up on you. And sometimes it's going to, you like might need to stay in it for a bit until you figure out what that next step is. Sometimes it comes out of literally absolutely nowhere. And
Mhm.
it's every time it's there for a reason. And sometimes it takes a while to figure out what that reason actually is. Because for me, and like that very first pivot, I'm like, why is this happening to me? Like, you put
Yeah.
yourself in victim mode a little bit because I'm like, I worked so hard for this. And
Mhm.
now, why all of a sudden am I finally in it? And I like, I need to make a pivot right now, or I'm going to lose my mind. It's like
Mhm.
nothing makes sense in the moment. I feel like really, but eventually you're like, that's that's why that all happened. Even now, for me, this was like almost 10 years ago that all of this like very first pivot happened. And I can see so clearly now why all of that happened. But in the moment, it was very confusing. Very.
I think that's so important to highlight, right? Because I feel like as humans, we want to know why. We want to where's it going? Where is it leading to? And what it sounds like is you don't necessarily even figure that out until years later.
Yeah.
And so in the moment, were you feeling thoughts of like, but where is this going? Were you at any point kind of, yeah, talk us through what was that like? And also like, what did you do to finally be like, you know what, fuck it. I'm saying yes to me.
So well, one, you put yourself in this feeling of like, why am I not good enough to feel like this is where I need to be? And like, kind of just
Mm,
confused of what am I supposed to do with my life now? Because this is the whole plan that I had.
mm,
And for me, I like at some point, you also just like have to choose yourself, as hard as that is for a lot of us sometimes, because in my whole situation, I didn't even have time to exist in my own life because it was all to the job that I was in that I thought I wanted to just do for the rest of forever. And
mm-hmm,
I'm like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life is never have a single second to myself. Like, what was I thinking? So
mm-hmm,
at that point, I also got into this feeling of like, well, if I leave, what is that going to do for like all of my athletes and like started to just put them first instead. I'm like,
yeah.
no, you know what? I love you guys so much, but like I love myself more and like my well being more. And like you
Mm-hmm,
truly just have to, sometimes you just have to be really selfish for your own well being, even if you know it's just kind of going to suck for somebody else. Like truly, I mean, for me as an athletic trainer, like I had a long season. I left in the very middle of the busiest season and I just had to be like, you know what? It is what it is. I can't do
mm-hmm,
this anymore. If I do, it's just not going to be beneficial for everybody, like for anybody. So I just left, at that point, you're just like, screw it. I got to choose me. And I don't know where this
mm-hmm.
path is going, but this opportunity came up in the middle of the busiest season ever for me to take a different job. And like, why else would that come up? Like, I just have to jump on it. I have to
Ah,
do it. I have to take it. It's here for a reason, for a purpose. Well, I cannot see that right now because what the heck did I work so hard for 6.5 years to end up here 6 months later being like, I'm out. I'm going to go do it all really worked out in the end. And I can clearly see it now, but it's going to be pretty cloudy when you're in the thick of it, I would say.
yeah. So it sounds like in the moment, well, first of all, it sounds like there's many moments. One where you, even if you didn't fully consciously say yes, you said yes enough that an opportunity eventually came up. And it sounds like the moment that opportunity came up and you decided to be selfish, as you say, and say yes to you, it sounds like you were feeling maybe a little bit of guilt to like letting down your athletes, maybe a little bit of why was I working so hard for this? And a whole lot of, I'm going to do it, even though I don't know
Yeah.
where this is going.
Yeah.
I'm so curious. Was there like a moment, like a click, or was it like a slow, like, okay, yeah, I'm doing, like, did you think about it for a while? I'm curious to hear what your process is so that our audience might be like, oh shit, maybe I'm in the middle of my own pivot and this is normal. And I just need to say yes. So walk us through what finally led you to be like yes to this opportunity.
Honestly, a lot of the pivots that have happened for me have been pretty quick and just
Mm-hmm.
like kind of out of the blue, honestly. But in this very first situation, I remember having dinner with a friend and like I was kind of complaining, about how hard
Mm-hmm.
everything was, how I just like felt like I never had any days off. And she's like, you know what, I actually know of this job that's open and I think you'd be great at it. And I'm like, tell me more.
Ooh.
Like, tell me more because I wasn't really at the time actively looking for a total pivot or an out at all because I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
can't really do that. I just feel like that's not even physically possible. Like, what else would I
Mm-hmm.
even do? And it came about, and honestly, it transpired within like a week. And
Ooh.
I thought, like, oh, it was quick. So I went through the whole thing. I'm like, tell me more. I sent in a resume. I did an interview. I like made up something and took a sick day out of nowhere and went and did an interview in the middle of the week when I wasn't supposed to do it. And I got offered it like that same day. And I'm like, why would this come into my life and present itself when I was truly in a very significant low?
Mm-hmm.
When if I wasn't supposed to do it, like, did I just go through all of this and like taking the time off and like thinking about it constantly for since I heard about it for nothing? Like, that can't be the case. Like, it's there for a reason, for a purpose. And I know sometimes, I mean, a lot of people are like here and there with like everything happens for a reason. But to me, it's just, it feels like a life fact. Like it is here for a
Mm-hmm.
reason, for a purpose. And if it wasn't, it wouldn't have came into my life. It wouldn't have presented itself. And when things like that do come up, you really have to think about it. Like whether you need to do it or not is very dependent on you. But I think when you find yourself in a situation of like, I'm not happy here. I don't feel like this
Mm-hmm.
is like where I'm supposed to be or how I'm supposed to feel forever. Because if it is like, ew. But when something, it's like, oh my gosh, I feel for the rest of my life. Like that sucks. But if something comes up and is like giving you an out or a different situation, it's like, why would you not? Why would you not? Like, just life is too short, to sit and be miserable forever in something that you really know is just, you're going to wake up the next day and just be like, oh my gosh, I have to do this again. Like, you do not want to feel like that constantly. It's just a big no for me.
Yes. Yes. So if anyone here is hearing that voice, is this really it? Sounds like step one is acknowledge it. From your story, it sounds like step two is taking action on it. Action in your case was just venting to a friend. But to me, you can't just keep the thoughts in because you can think this all day long. But if you don't
Yeah.
do something about it, opportunity doesn't have space to come in. The opportunity does come in. It sounds like step three is like step into your faith. And like you did,
Right.
tell me more. What is this opportunity? How do I then make space so that I can pursue this?
Right.
Anything you'd like to add, like for our listeners who were like, okay, that's easy for you to say, but I can't do it either because too many people are relying on me. I would leave a huge hole in a company, or like I hear this a lot with my clients. I have a family that I'm looking to support. What would you say to those of the audience who are feeling that way?
Honestly, like, I've also been in a situation just like that. And fast forward like a couple years into like this new journey of my life, I have a family too. And I made another pretty significant pivot in my life in 2020. And those feelings were all truly just like running through my head constantly. But the thing about you being there and supporting your
Mhm.
family is you aren't going to be able to do that as well as you possibly can if you aren't truly feeling happy and fulfilled and just loving what you do in life. And like, I'm not saying every day has to be like rainbows and butterflies, but if you're truly just like miserable in what you're doing every single day, like, how do you think you're going to be showing up for your family? Like, that's just not going to be the type of person that you want to be. And for me, when I took a new job and I was at the point where I'm like, I am literally never here for my family still. And like, I'm at the office all day. Like, I have to rush and get everybody up out of bed in the morning, like take them to daycare, being the first one there to drop off, being the last one to pick up. They're going right to bed. I'm like, is that really me being like the best version of myself for my family? Like, if I make a big pivot, a big scary one, even that could like potentially leave us in like a pretty serious financial situation. Like, is it
Mhm.
still going to be worth it if I can like know for a fact I'm going to be able to be there and be present for like everybody in my
Mm.
family? And that was kind of just a heart to heart I really had to have with myself and like my husband of like, is it worth it for me to just be working all the time and for you to be working all the time? Or is it worth it for us to take a risk and possibly create more flexibility and presence like in our kids' lives? And we ultimately chose like being there for the family. But I mean, I will tell you, like, there are situations where it's like, this is a risk. Like, I mean, technically, I don't have like a stable salary. I mean, I do and I don't, but I did.
Mhm.
Like, I had a 9 to 5 job. I had benefits. I had a 401k. I had like normal working business hours, and I quit and left all of that behind. And I like, that's a big thing. And like a lot of people would be like,
Yeah.
ooh, I don't know about that. But I mean, it's a bold situation. It's a bold risk. It's a bold pivot. But I mean, you can either make a change and it can be really, really great, or you're never going to know what it could be because you're not willing to go for it. I think sometimes you just have to be like, is the risk of staying where I am higher than like going for it? I mean, sometimes
Right.
it just has to be like, I don't know if it's going to work out. You never know if it's going to work out, but you
Mhm.
definitely know it's not going to if you just don't do anything, you know?
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So good. It's like a guaranteed not gonna work out if you stay. If you
Yeah.
have those voices in your head already saying, "Is this it? What did I sign up for? Can I do this for the rest of my life?"
Yeah.
So it sounds like the heart to heart with yourself and with a partner, if you have a partner, is key. And then really looking at your priorities and then just going for it. And I'm
Yeah.
curious, you said you had another big pivot in 2020. I'm curious how that compared to this one that we had talked about, the first major one, because you had mentioned that there were still some of those scary feelings.
Yeah. So my very first pivot was just basically getting out of the world of college athletics and like pretty much leaving athletic
Mhm.
training behind for like a more stable office job, which great. Love that. That was great for the time. And then I worked in the medical field, and I think everybody and their
Mhm.
mother went through this like major life crisis in 2020, regardless. But for me, working in medicine, me and my husband working in medicine in 2020, we're like, this is just truly like we're all going through like a midlife crisis here, right? And had an opportunity fall into my lap again of I was watching some friends and they were doing an online virtual assistant course. I'm like, I could do that
Mhm.
along with working my job. That sounds fun. I feel like I'd be good at that. Like, I already basically assist an orthopedic surgeon. I think I should do this. And it's just something I could add into my life. Like, and
Mhm.
it was one of those things where like you invest in it, but it was a decent investment. But it's like in my head. So I'm just going to do it. Like, we're not even going to have a
I
discussion.
love
It's just
it.
going to happen. And that's definitely the type of person that I am. So I know a lot of people are not like that, but that's just me. I'm like, that sounds cool. I'm just going to do that. I think that sounds great. And that was probably the biggest pivot, actually, in everything
Oh
that
yeah?
happened in my life moving forward. Yes. And like, I really want to talk about this story because that was, I mean, it was something so like nonchalant of just like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take this course. That sounds cool. Like, little hobby in my life. And I took it very seriously. And as soon as I started, I kind of started developing this vision of like, maybe I actually don't have to work in an office at all. Like, what if I could
Mm.
just like create my own schedule, my own hours, my own pay? And just like all of these thoughts started running through my head. I had only my daughter at the time. Like my husband is just, he's very busy. Like he's an athletic trainer as well, and he travels all the time. So like all of these thoughts and this vision is just like building up. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
I think something really good is going to happen with this. And over the course of like the next year or two, I mean, I hustled my face off really and like took on a number of clients while working in an office, while being a mom. Like it was a season of like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to see the end of this, but I really do feel like it's going to pay off in the end. And in 2021, like towards the end of the year, we moved into a brand new house. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to do this full time. And it just felt right. I don't know why, but it just
Mhm.
felt right. And again, it's not like super stable. Like at the time,
Mhm.
I really had like ups and downs, ebbs and flows, but that was, I'm like, something is telling me that this is a huge change that I need to make. And I
Mhm.
don't know if it's going to work out, but I just feel like that needs to be the case. And crazy thing about all of that was, so at the end of 2021, I started working full time from home, and
Mhm.
I got pregnant with my son shortly after that, and he had a very serious heart condition, still does,
Ooh.
and
Mm.
I had to be followed in the children's hospital for 20 weeks during my pregnancy, multiple times a week, spending the whole day at the hospital. And then he was born in children's and stayed there for a while and has had a couple of heart surgeries following. And I'm like, you know what? At the time, I didn't really know what the reason was behind me feeling like I just don't need to work a 9 to 5 job anymore because that's like really the safer option. But I left anyways. And I'm like, this was why, because there is no possible way I would have been able to have a normal job and have gone through everything that we went through with him because I literally almost lived at the children's hospital. Again, if it doesn't make sense in the moment, but something is really telling you, like, I just feel like this is the right move. I truly believe you will figure out why that happens down the road. And you look back on it and you're like, oh my gosh, well, I can't believe I did that. Two, what
Mhm.
if I wouldn't have done it? Like, what would happen if I would have said no? I wouldn't have had the flexibility that I did. I always joked around with like everybody. I'm like, I would have been fired for sure from wherever I
Mhm.
worked if I did
Mhm.
work. It's like I never would have showed up. Like there's just no way. And it's just so crazy how things work
Yeah.
out, you know?
Yeah, and let's kind of like just play out the what if you didn't say yes, just because there might be someone in the audience who might still be doubting. They're like feeling the feels, right? But they're still stuck on the fact that the how it's going to end up isn't clear, and it sounds like it's never clear just based on
Yeah.
my own experience and also listening to yours. So first of all, if you're waiting for the end vision to be clear, you're going to be waiting forever. It's never going to be clear.
Yeah.
So
No.
for the audience that's still a little bit stuck on, I really just want to see how it ends up. So let's paint a picture. What would have happened if you ignored that gut feeling that you had and you didn't quit your 9 to 5 and then all this went down? So you mentioned you probably would have gotten fired. And how would you have felt probably leading up to not showing up to work?
I mean, it just really would have hurt. It just would have, I think, just messed with me even more, just mentally, because I honestly kind of felt like I lost a bit of my identity in general going through this whole situation because I just had to create so many pivots in my life in general, like being like
Mhm.
dealing with the whole situation. But I'm like, what if I would have been going through this hard time and then also had my boss come up to me and be like, you know what, you're actually fired. Like all of those things together, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That would have been so tragic. But you really have to ask yourself, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Or how am I going to feel if I continue to stay here versus like the alternative? I mean, again, you just really don't know sometimes like what the outcome is going to be, but you can create an outcome for yourself. Like you can't go into if something is on your heart to like make a shift, to make a change, like give it your full energy if you're going to go for it and
Mhm.
everything you have to pour into what that next step is going to be. Because if you just go into it and you're like, oh, I hope this works out, that's not the mindset to have when you go into it. Like you have to go into it with like full confidence in yourself, even if you're like faking it till you make it. Like, I really don't know if this is going to
Mhm.
work out, but I'm going to pretend like I'm like the best person on the planet at what I do. Like people are going to think I'm literally number one in whatever it is, but they have no
Love
idea that
it.
I'm not. I mean, that's just kind of how you have to be. You just have to just go for it, or you can't just go into it and just be like, well, I'm just going to like try it out. If you're going to make a big pivot in your life, be ready to get into it and like
Mhm.
give it all your effort, give it everything you've got because your life is depending on it. And that's how you have to treat every single day. I mean, just
Mhm.
going forward, if you really want some big changes to happen for your life and for yourself, you know?
Yeah, and it sounds like that all in mentality goes for like you're saying specifically when you're saying yes to the pivot, but if you're not going to go for the pivot and you have those thoughts in your head, you're already not all in to your current
Yeah.
life. And that's already like to your point what you said earlier, not the best if you have a family, it's not the best for your family either. You mentioned that there was some identity shift that happened. So, say more about that identity shift. Was that kind of like because you let go of the 9 to 5? So it was like, who am I now? Is that what you mean?
I think like I went through the identity shift in the situation that I was in because I just like didn't know how to identify as this new parent going through the situation that I was going through. But I think if I would have not made a pivot and I would have stayed in this situation that I was in my normal 9 to 5 job, I think I would have struggled with my identity even more because I hadn't been able to find my purpose really.
Mm,
And like my purpose really wasn't in that job. So then if that would be something that would disappear, I'm like
I
what would
see.
I feel like my identity is built in? Because even so, during all of this that went down, I love health and fitness, and that's just like a big part of who I am. I was live coaching at the time. Just again, it's just like, cool, I have the flexibility, I
Mhm.
have the time, why not? And that's something I had to give up during this time because like I just didn't have the capacity for it. And even that, I was like, that is so hard for me to just like leave in the past. And
Mm,
you just have to figure out like what your purpose, what your passion is, and like allow yourself to be able to live that out because a job gets taken away from you or your company shuts down or whatever that looks like what, how are you able to build something up for yourself? I don't want my whole identity to be in this one company when it could go away at any second. And I like to think
mm,
about it too, like when you're making a pivot, especially if it's in a career. So even the job I left, they replaced me in one day. Is that really what I want my identity to be in? Or do I want to be in a position where if a client that I work for right now decides that they don't want an assistant anymore, that I could just go and find somebody else on my own. I can build my own identity and my own career, my own options. And that was a big piece making decisions for myself too. And for you listening, you have to think about that also. I mean, are you in a position where you could literally be replaced in 1 minute? Or are you creating something for yourself where you are super valuable? You are
mhm.
irreplaceable, truly. And like if something were to happen in your life, you can figure it out. Like if we needed more money, I would just go find another client. It's just so many things come into play. And I'm like, that's not something that would have been present in my life previously with a different career. I couldn't just go work more hours or, and I think all of those what ifs too can come into play also when you're making a decision about creating a huge pivot in your life and in your career. It's like, what
Hmm.
if something in 2 years were to detrimentally happen in your life? How would you be able to handle that with what you're doing right now? Like, what would that look like versus maybe you're thinking about doing something different that allows you to work for yourself, create more opportunities, create more money. How would those situations differ? Because looking back, I mean, I obviously had no idea what was going to happen in our life, but I'm like, okay, this is kind of probably how this would have played out in this situation, but this is how it got to play out because I was like, okay, let's try something different here that gives us different opportunities and different options. And looking at that, I'm like, I can't see it going any other way now that we've been through it that way.
Yeah, because the way you did it, you already had the flexibility baked in because you made that decision beforehand. You've already handled the identity piece and you were able to be fully into that experience with your son, thankfully. And from a financial standpoint, too, you already laid out the framework of how that could work out for you versus if you had stayed and gotten fired, then it's like all of the things that I just mentioned, you had to do all at the same time on top of what was happening with your son. So, what I'm really, fascinated by and what I'm really hearing from you, Kayla, is that it may sound like the safer thing to do to stay in a stable job. But given even just your scenario, like what happened with you, there's actually risks in staying that you may not have considered. So,
Mhm.
for those of you listening, keep that in mind. If you're feeling stuck, like, but this is a stable 9 to 5 job, it's okay if I'm not happy, it pays the bills. It would be risky to try something new. Yes, that's true. There's risk there. Also consider the risks of staying because
Yeah.
it's not as safe as you think it is. Because to your point, you don't know what could happen. You could get laid off, you could get replaced. It's actually
Mhm.
not as safe as you think. And Kayla, so first of all, I love your approach to all these pivots. You're just like all in, you're curious, you allow yourself to like vision like, ooh, what if I could do this in life? And by the way, in 2020, virtual stuff was just starting to become popular. So keep
Yeah.
that in mind, listeners. Like now, the remote work is a little bit more normalized, but at the time, it wasn't. So, Kayla, for the listener who doesn't quite have your confidence, what are 3 things that you can tell them? So I like to call it how do we borrow from Kayla's confidence? So what are like the top 3 things that you have to say to a listener who doesn't quite have your confidence so that your voice is in their head the next time that voice says, I'm not happy here anymore?
I think I would say, well, one just like quote that I always say to anybody who I talk to who's like trying to make a decision for themselves is if it's on your heart, it's time to start. Like there's a
Woo!
reason why
I
it's
love that so
sitting
much.
there like in your head. Those things don't just happen for no reason whatsoever. It's there and start looking at opportunities of how to create that. Like do it you could do it in a smart, reasonable way. Like I didn't just
Hmm.
up and quit my job and have no income coming in. Like I did not do that. I mean, some people do, that's great, but think about how to go about it in a way that makes sense. That isn't just going to literally like kill you, uproot your life. Like
Hmm.
go homeless. Find a smart way to go about doing it if it's something that you've been thinking about, but start doing your research, start looking into options of how you're going to make it work. But that is a really important thing to think about because it's like they're not just popping up for no reason. And another thing is, again, kind of tying into everything, is prepare yourself for impact. You don't like to think about all the things that could happen, could go wrong, it could just enter into your life at any moment, but like, are you prepared if something were to go down? And looking at just like our life previously, probably we weren't. between financially, between time, opportunities, things like that. We weren't. And now we are, which is fantastic. And I think the last thing would just really be, if I'm here in 5 years doing this, is it something I'm going to be proud of or happy
Mm.
about? Because do you have to like absolutely fall in love with what you do to earn an income every day? No, most people don't. But truly, if you're sitting there feeling like every single day when you clock out of your job, that you just can't stand it and it's the worst thing ever. Do you really want to feel like that every single day for the rest of your life? Because I know for a fact you do not, because it doesn't have to be that way. Even if you're in a position right now and you are feeling like that, but you're like, I don't know what else I would do,
Hmm.
just start looking at things or doing personal development or just looking in and growing in yourself, because you will find it. You will figure it out, or you'll find a way to enjoy yourself and just be proud of yourself where you are. But like, you have to be working on yourself first and foremost, because nobody deserves to just like be miserable in their life every day. You truly don't. So I know those are three kind of like all over the place things, but those are three things I really preach on with anybody who I'm in conversation with, because I have
Hmm.
conversations with people all the time about just like not loving their job or like what they want to do and different opportunities that I have that I do like for work. And I mean, truly, you really just have to put the whole picture together of like, am I happy with this? Can I see myself doing this in 5 years? Am I prepared if something were to go wrong? Is something else on my heart? Like, what are those things? And act on them, you know?
Act on it. I love it. And Kayla, this was so good. Where can people find you if they're like, I need more Kayla than this episode? So I'm gonna need to slide into her DM or do something. Like, how can people connect with you?
So, first off, you can just come and be my Instagram best friend. And that is like my most favorite thing in the whole wide world. Like,
Hmm.
it just makes me so happy. I mean, I have so many internet online besties. So you can find me on Instagram at Kayla_Hoffmeier. Truly, I show up on there every single day. You'll know most things about my
She
life.
does.
So if you're not ready for that,
Great.
just be prepared. So a little bit just about like my current career. I am an executive assistant. So, you know, I can help refer people to on those lines of things. And then network marketing. I'm an Arbonne consultant. I love it so much. I share about all of my favorite products online. And I currently just got recertified for fitness and nutrition. And I run online accountability groups. I like just love helping people in that period of their life, whether you're looking just for a new workout program, you're looking for accountability, consistency, help with nutrition, all the things. That is truly like my pride and joy. And I love it so freaking much. But you can learn all about me, all about the things that I do, the things that I love and share over on my Instagram platform. It's just my favorite place to be. So I hope we can just come over there and be, some new besties online.
I love that. And I'll put that in the show notes. Before we wrap up, I love asking these questions of all my guests. If you were an item in a coffee shop that one could order, so drinks or food or whatever, what would you be and why?
I would have to be a matcha latte, first off. That one, because it's got the little sweetness. It's got the caffeine
Mhm.
kick. Like, I'll give you a little energy boost, but I'm not going to be too much for you. Like, I actually truly am a very introverted person. I love to like stay home and like be in my little bubble. But, you'll get that little shot. You'll get that little bit of extra for me. And, I just like to be fun, not like a brown, dark colored girly. Like, you got to go bright green. We got to go super colorful, super fun. And it just reminds me of myself. Plus, it's also my favorite drink ever. So,
I love it. Plus, they have art, right? In the latte.
oh yeah, yeah, you
Yeah.
have to be creative with it. It has to be
To
cute
be creative.
and aesthetic.
Yeah.
You can't get it. It has to
Yes.
be a cute drink, a cute picture, like all of the above, or it doesn't count.
That's how you can drink 10 cups
No,
of matcha and only the 10th
yeah,
counted because you took a picture.
yeah, true.
Kayla, thank you so much. I loved spending this time with you one-on-one. I loved everything you said. I'm going to say that a lot now, that if it's on your heart, it's time to start. In your
It's
voice.
so good.
It's so good. It's so good. Big thanks again
To Kayla Hoffmeier.
for sharing her story so openly. These conversations are such a reminder that no pivot is too messy, too late, or too unconventional. If something she said resonated, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with someone you know who needs it. And when you're ready to start your own pivot, head to www.leadintact.com for free resources or book a free 20-minute call with me. I'm here for you.